Managing risks is an essential but not necessarily enjoyable part of managing projects. If you've seen any of my material before, you'll know that I'm passionate about project managers making decisions happen quickly and easily, especially those related to risks and issues. The earlier you identify a risk, the more time you have to manage it, the more options you and your stakeholders will have to respond to or resolve that risk, and quite often that means a lower cost or time impact to your project. In this short video, I want to introduce just a few tips to help you manage your project risks much more effectively. I'm going to introduce you to the practice of managing risks in pairs, specifically a trio of pairs. So imagine that you are workshopping your project's risks. You will likely have a risk log template that splits the risk into 3 phases: identification, assessment, and response. It is these 3 phases where I apply the pairing. Let me explain. During risk identification, it really helps to split the definition of the risk into separate events and effects. For example, the broadband connection to the new building will be commissioned late. This is the event. This is the thing that might happen. The lack of that full broadband service could result in poor customer service. This could be the effect, or at least one of the effects, of the broadband being late. This simple approach ensures clarity and encourages you and your workshop participants to be more thorough, such as considering other effects that the same event might have. In this case, negative first impression of employees to their new office space could be a second effect of that same event. So the second phase is risk assessment. This is the part where I see most project teams are already using these pairs, because they typically split the assessment into its likelihood or probability and its severity. But because we've already defined the risk itself as separate events and effects, we can think about the likelihood of the event in isolation, and we can think about the severity of the effect in isolation. Again, this really focuses the team on assessing risks accurately. The final phase is our risk response. This is where we define what we're actually going to do about the risk. And again, we split our risk response into the final pair: mitigation and contingency. And again, these relate to the pairs in the preceding phases. Mitigation is about reducing the likelihood of the risk event, making it less likely to happen. Contingency is about reducing the severity of the risk should the event actually happen. So our pairs are separated into 1, stopping or reducing the risk happening, and 2, reducing how much it matters if it does happen. So my final tip: the risk log is not an action log. Log the mitigation and contingencies as the control or action that will be in place, and if it's not in place, flag it as such in the risk log, but add the action to implement it into your action log with a reference to the risk it relates to if necessary. If your actions are not all in one place, then it is very likely that they won't be completed effectively. I hope you found this interesting. If you'd like to discuss this further, please leave a note in the comments section or get in touch. Thank you very much.